Good afternoon. My name is Florentino Bedolla, and I'll be guiding you through a presentation on potential threats to the hospital. Threat actors are as follows: advanced persistent threats, cyber terrorism, script kiddies, cyber criminals, hacktivists, and insider threats. And I'll elaborate more on the type of attacks that they can perform on the hospital and the level of threat that I assess for each one. For the greatest threats, it would be APT, cyber terrorism, hacktivists, and cyber criminals. And low threat would be script kiddies and insider threats. Insider threats is nuanced because it could be a very critical threat, but I deem it a lot less of a threat than the other four. Now, APTs. So it is imperative to understand that some of the techniques and attacks that they could use would be spear phishing, which would be honestly probably one of the most common threats that they would do, which would be copying emails or mimicking systems that we already have. And this could be very lethal because mimicking our systems is not very difficult, but it is something that the tech department will definitely make sure that our systems are inoculated against. Command and control, C2, network probing, and scanning. These are all types of very nuanced attacks, and coming from APTs who are backed by either very substantially funded governments or any other organizations, it's difficult to try to think that they don't have the capabilities needed. So the last one that I would want to highlight would be social engineering, and this one would be honestly it's simple as like employees being manipulated, and it's difficult to inoculate our organization against it. So honestly, continual training would be probably the best bet. Cyber terrorism, this one's a little bit more difficult to kind of attach to our hospital, and it might happen, but it's not impossible. The data that we collect on every individual is prime for them to utilize. So phishing, malware, distributed denial of service attacks, social engineering, and encryption. Honestly, out of all these, like I stated before, phishing and social engineering, it's just our organization is susceptible to it. Our people are not experts in cybersecurity, so training them in the best way possible to predict and avoid these is essential. Now, hacktivists, these are a little bit more of a different organization, meaning that they're trying to make a difference. They're not always necessarily what we would consider bad, but they are in search of information. So again, phishing, now malware, they're a little bit more complex because they have a lot more experience with this. Distributor denial of service attacks, so they might want to shut down our services to be able to penetrate them. Social engineering, again, they try to do this. Most organizations will try to do this. And website defacement. I mean, they'll try to make us look bad. And it is imperative that we make sure that we're at the forefront of any attacks like this. And the last one, cyber criminals. This one's more elaborate, meaning honestly, the data that we have for patients is critical and can be sold. And it is imperative that we try our best. The ones we have here is phishing, again, with emails or any type of method to be able to try to extract information, distributed denial, cryptojacket, social engineering, identity theft. Identity theft is crucial because it can be mixed and it can be utilized in conjunction with any of the others. So maintaining batch control and access is imperative. Now, one of the biggest things that I want to elaborate on is the difference between threat and vulnerability. A threat is an action that can exploit a vulnerability. A vulnerability is a weakness in a system or a network that can be exploited by a threat. And one of the biggest examples for that would be vulnerability would be unpatched software, poor authentication, weak passwords, or outdated systems. Now, for an exploited vulnerability would be malicious actors, viruses, ransomware, and zero-day attack. So what's interesting to understand is that these come in conjunction with each other. So making sure that we do our best to train our personnel is imperative. Now, like I mentioned, skid kiddies, script kiddies, which are amateur hackers, and insider threats are also a problem. But we need to understand that bad actors will continue to attack us, but it is imperative that we train our personnel. Here are some references for everyone's research. Thank you for your time and have a great night.